Everybody, and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be discussing why 2022 is looking like an increasingly strong year for the Democratic Party. Now, as you can see here, I have the Democratic targets and the Republican states. By the way, the House. I mean, like we can discuss the House another time. I think that right now it's a toss-up, narrowly favoring the Democrats. Because I mean, like it's not really gonna be like a red wave, and it was a mini red wave in 20. I would say mini red wave in 2020, like we're like a red ripple, I guess. But with Trump not on the ballot with a fairly popular president, I would say it's narrowly favoring the Democrats. But looking at these, Mac, Florida doesn't have to be thrown in here. Rubio is going to win. It will probably be a target, and Murphy's a good candidate, but against an incumbent Rubio, it's probably going to be safe. Not safe, but it's not going to be competitive. So I guess we can just go look at these five targets, and I'm going to go start off with probably the most likely to be red, and they'll probably be red, Ohio. So looking at this, Portman won by a lot. He won by a very large margin, but he's retiring. Which is, I mean, like, this is a problem for Republicans. Every single Republican target over here, Missouri, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, all of retiring incumbents except for Ron Johnson, and he may end up retiring. We don't know yet. He seems to want to retire. He hasn't announced that he's running yet. Um, LTE made a video about it. You should go watch it. But he hasn't announced that he's retiring. I think there's a decent chance that he does retire, but I'll get to that later. So let's start off in Ohio once again. The thing is, the reason I think that this could be competitive is because of Tim Ryan. Now, Ryan, I don't believe he's announced yet. I'm on Wisconsin. I'll go get to Ohio. I don't believe that Tim Ryan has announced. So many endorsements. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Tim Ryan publicly expressed interest. I would say that he is, that's weird. U.S. rep from Ohio 2013 to 2020, but he won there. That's kind of strange. Okay, why not? I'm slightly confused. I'll probably have to read more into that. So please let me know what's going on with 2003 to 2013. Yeah, please let me know what's happening with that, because that's kind of confusing. But the thing about Ryan is he's a lot like yeah, because he's in the. I just saw his speech on the House like a month or two ago that went viral. But he's like Sherrod Brown. I mean, like I would say he is a lot like Sherrod Brown in the sense that he has moderate appeal. He has appeal across the aisle, but he has a lot of white working class appeal. With his progressive policies, like he was fighting for that $15 minimum wage in that speech that went viral. His House speech. I mean, like he is a very strong candidate with the working class, and I think that it would be even better for him if the GOP were to nominate a moderate. I mean, like this is in certain states like Arizona, you want the GOP to be or Democrats, or I guess it really depends. You want the GOP if you're trying to win to be, if you're a Democrat, you want them to be moderate, or if you're a Democrat in Arizona, you want the GOP to be moderate. If you're a Republican, you want, or in Arizona, if you want to win, if you're a Democrat, you want the Arizona GOP to be Trumpist, nominate Trumpist. If you want the or if you're a Republican, you want the Republicans to win, you want them to nominate a moderate. It's the exact opposite in Ohio. If you want a Republican to win, you want the GOP to nominate a Trumpist. If you want the Democrats to win, you want the GOP to nominate a moderate. Now, if they nominate a moderate, or even someone who's pretty far to the right, like Marco Rubio. Rubio, I mean, like, people don't realize how far to the right he is. According to Vote, he is farther to the right than Joni Ernst, I think it was. I think he's farther to the right than Joni Ernst, according to that. Which is surprising. I mean, like, I would have thought that Ernst is farther to the... Well, he does like Trump. He is fairly supportive of Trump. But whatever. If they were to nominate someone like that with little to no working class appeal, it would be seriously problematic. Just give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. My dad just came home and he was opening the door and whatever, so I ended recording. So my father opening the door and walking around and getting his stuff since he just came home from work would not be loud. Anyways, back to where I was. I think I was with Tim Ryan. Yeah, Tim Ryan, Marco Rubio. He has the appeal. he has across the aisle appeal, or yeah, he does. He has across the aisle appeal, but he also has the working class appeal. Whereas you would want, if you were a Democrat in Ohio, you would want them to nominate a moderate, because a moderate, or even someone like Rubio, which is like I guess a traditional Republican, like an establishment traditional or not. Well, obviously, don't nominate an establishment if you want to win in Ohio. That would be like just absolutely an awful idea. That's not how you win in Ohio. You nominate a populist. But if they were to nominate somebody like Rubio, I guess I guess an insider. He's been in the Senate for like what? Actually, no, I got or in politics, I guess a considerable amount of time. I mean, like this Tea Party movement's been going on for a while now, but whatever. Regardless, I think that in this um with somebody like Rubio, you get what I'm saying. Somebody like Rubio who doesn't have the across the aisle appeal. If you nominate someone like that in Ohio against Tim Ryan, you are screwed. And that's why the GOP need to nominate somebody a Trumpist. But I think that it's not 100% likely, but like we could easily see them nominate a moderate, while the Democrats nominate Tim Ryan, and we can easily see this seat be like a lean blue seat, just with Tim Ryan. Next state I'm gonna go look at is the state of Missouri. Now, we can go look at 2016. Blunt, like he's not a bad nominee. He's not like a amazing candidate. He's not like Donald Trump in Missouri, but he's also not like Mitt Romney. So the thing about Blunt is he won by 2.8%. Not because he himself is a weak candidate, because Jason Kander was so strong. Now Blunt is retiring. Kander has already announced he won't run. Thing is, in Missouri, and I will go back to it. In Missouri, the Democrats have a Kander-like candidate on their hands in where is he? Lucas Kuntz. He is I would say he is a very strong candidate. I mean, like Scott Sifton, whatever. He seems like he would be decent. Like I haven't heard a lot from him. I think he announced a bit ago, like a few weeks ago, or roughly around Blunt's retirement. I think around the time when like Greetings was like forming an exploratory committee or whatever, or team, whatever. Or I think it was Greetings. Greetings was doing something around the time or something like that. I think when he announced, or he was announced by that time, I think. But whatever. I think that Kuntz is a lot like Kander. But the thing is, when you have a candidate that can narrow a race significantly to a few points, when you have a candidate that can narrow a race by 12%, he can shift the race 12% to the left. But, and this is it's also a big if. If Eric Greitens ends up being the Republican nominee, he only won by a few percentage points. He won by 5.5%. When you have a candidate, a Democrat, that can shift the race 12% to the left, and then you have a Republican who can shift the race 10% to the left, in a R plus 15 state, that would be like a likely Democratic victory. I see it probably being like a low tilt at best, but we could easily see this race being lean blue. Now, Greitens is not. It's not certain that he'll be the nominee. I mean, like we could see Schmidt, Combs, lots of these people end up being the nominee. But if that were the scenario, I mean, like Greitens, it's not like I'm trying to find polls. He was leading in this poll from like almost a month ago, but still, with obviously like, the margin of error, but still, regardless, if he ends up being the nominee, we could easily see this race go to the Democratic Party if Kuntz and Greitens are the nominees, because they both have the power to shift the race to the left by like 10%. And when it's a state that's not Kentucky, it's not Idaho, it's not Louisiana, it's Missouri. It's been very competitive in the past. Although Louisiana could be competitive, but whatever. Maybe if John Bell Edwards runs, but whatever. Forget about that. John Bell Edwards is not going to run. We can't speculate about every single governor in every state. But I mean, like, when it's a state that was only decided by like 16% in 2020, it was decided by less than a percentage point in 2008. It's had Democratic senators in very recent years. I mean, like, Claire McCaskill only lost in 2018. So there are lots of potential candidates. Um, or there are lots of obviously, yeah, lots of potential candidates, but lots of, or I guess lots of potential for the Democrats, because it's been significantly close in the past, and with candidates that are these, like, it's an incredibly strong Democrat versus an incredibly weak Republican. We could, in a state that's not competitive but is as competitive as Missouri, we could see it be a D+2 or D+3 race. Now the next race I was going to do Wisconsin. So in Wisconsin, um, the Democrats. I mean, like, UEP made a video. I only got a few seconds in. No, I didn't just like decide that, or I did not finish it. I might have to finish it. It's not like I just couldn't. It's not like I got like 8 seconds in and just fell asleep. But looking at this, I mean, like, I don't know why I didn't finish it. Actually, I think I went to go look at Godlewski's state treasurer elections, and I couldn't find anything. But the thing is, I mean, like, he made a video about why Godlewski is a good candidate, and why she is seems to be the Democrats' candidate, and why he thinks that it's actually the Democrats are favored here. She is very strong. But another thing I'd like to mention is Ron Kind. These two are both two incredibly strong candidates. I don't know a whole lot about Godlewski. I guess I would suggest that you go watch UEP's video on her. But then Kind is from the 3rd Congressional District. It's a working class district. And I mean, like, it's in Wisconsin, the working class is how you win elections. He has the working class appeal to be able to win a state like Wisconsin, especially if Ron Johnson retires. If Johnson retires and it's Ron Kind or Sarah Godlewski, the Democrats are looking set in Wisconsin, because I don't see a single Republican other than like Donald Trump, which obviously he's not going to just decide to run for Senate in Wisconsin. That's not realistic. That can actually win here. I mean, like, I think the Kenosha, like, chief of police or something it was in like the potential Kenosha County sheriff. Nope, I did not want to go look at that. I mean, like, we could see a bunch of people running, but I think that Johnson is essentially the only Republican who can win this statewide race here. If it's Kind versus Johnson, it will be close. If it's Godlewski versus Johnson, it will be close. We could see Godlewski win. If it's Godlewski or Kind versus somebody else, though, I don't think it's unrealistic to think that this is a D+2, maybe. Maybe at best, 2. But I think it would probably be like a tilt race. But it would still be, it would be a Democratic seat nonetheless. In North Carolina, Richard Burr is retiring. He's not running. This is another state like Missouri. I mean, like, obviously it's much, much more competitive, but in the sense that there is a really bad potential Republican. Now, I do think that the GOP will win here. I think that Walker is more likely to be, or Walker will, or there's a good chance that Walker's the nominee. I don't want to necessarily say that he's more likely to be the nominee. I mean, like, I don't know what this poll was with. Oh, okay, Mark Walker, and then I was like, is it just Pat McCrory and Ted Budd? Okay, that's slightly surprising that Walker got such a small percentage of the vote between those three. I would have expected for him to get more, but obviously Laura Trump is gonna win if she's a candidate. It's not gonna be like if she announces it's over, she's the Republican nominee. But if it's, I think that, I mean, we can go start down here. Jeff Jackson is likely to be the candidate. I think that he's a very strong candidate. Mark Walker, he is another very, very strong candidate. So these two are very, very strong candidates. I think it's a right-leaning state, and that Walker would win. However, if it is, Mark Meadows declined to run. That's interesting. if it is Pat McCrory, because here's the thing about McCrory. LTE made a very good video about McCrory. And he's also not a very good candidate. If it's Jeff Jackson versus Pat McCrory, we could very easily see this race be tilted low. And if these things were to end up happening, we could see this happen. It would not be an insane possibility to see the Democrats winning 54 seats. Because of these many strong candidates in a lot of these states. I mean, I think that the Democrats are looking very good once again. But then the final state I want to get to is Pennsylvania. Now we can go look at this. The Democrats at this point, I mean, like Connor Lamb, I think at this point, the potential of a Lamb, campaign. I don't know why I'm like, so like Connor Lamb is not gonna run. Is he even on here? Connor Lamb? Oh yeah, public expression. I'm like, Connor Lamb's got to be on here, right? Okay. But I think that looking at this, I mean, like Connor Lamb and the public expressed interest tab, but then at this point, I think that after that, it comes down to Fetterman and Kenyatta. So Fetterman, Kenyatta, Lamb. They are three very strong candidates. Kenyatta, I would say probably less than Fetterman because he's a moderate, which is not exactly great in the Rust Belt, but it is a left-leaning state, and we could easily see him win. He would do very, very well in Philly and do very well in its suburbs. Fetterman is a progressive. He has working class appeal. He won on the same ballot, or he won with Tom Wolf, and they won by like 17% or whatever. They won by a lot. He would have a lot of appeal to the working class. He would have a lot of appeal in Pittsburgh. He would be a very, very strong candidate. Lamb would also, once again, have a lot of appeal. I think, I'm not even certain what CD he's from. I'd just like to go see where it is. Is it somewhere over here? Okay, yeah. Lamb's district, just not looking at this, I wasn't certain where it was. Yes, he does have the working class appeal. I was not aware it was near Pittsburgh. But I do think that would actually help him because Pittsburgh is a working class city and he would do very, very well with the working class. The Republicans, I mean, like, we can go over here and we can look at this. Oh, it's up here. Just, like, scrolling down till I find something. A lot of people, obviously, I don't know any of these people. Everett Stern, never heard of him. But looking at these, I mean, I feel like the big name, and this is essentially, I feel like if he's not the nominee, it's more or less the Republicans just putting up a sacrificial lamb. It's Ryan Costello. Costello, I actually think is not a great candidate from Pennsylvania. I think that him versus Kenyatta would be interesting because it's like two moderates. Kind of moderate. I mean, like I don't know, it's kind of weird. But I think that him versus Kenyatta would be a very interesting race. But I think that against Fetterman or Connor Lamb, it's over. Against Kenyatta, it's pretty much over. Because, I mean, like, the GOP need to nominate it's difficult. I think that the Pennsylvania GOP is they're in, like, a rough spot. And it's not necessarily they're a bad GOP. It's like, if the Arizona GOP were in Pennsylvania, it would be, like, if the Pennsylvania GOP were anywhere near as bad as the Arizona GOP, they would be screwed. But the thing is, it's just difficult in a state like Pennsylvania because if you nominate a moderate, you're screwed with the working class. If you nominate a Trumpist, you're screwed in the suburbs. You need to nominate somebody who has this populist Trumpist appeal, but also has appeal in the suburbs. And I don't really know that a candidate like that exists. I think that maybe Ron DeSantis, Marco Rubio, are like the only two that could do that. Maybe Mike Pence. Actually, no, Mike Pence is awful with the working class. And he's also not very good in the suburbs. I don't really. Maybe Greg Abbott. Abbott may be the best. I don't necessarily know that he would have a whole lot of working class appeal though. But regardless, looking at this, I think it would be very difficult for the Pennsylvania GOP. And like looking at all these scenarios that I said, we could see an election that looks like this, where we see the Democrats get 55 seats. And I mean, like, at this point, they're only 5 seats away from a supermajority. This is where we start doing crazy things, like giving them Iowa, Indiana, Iowa, Alaska, South Carolina, Kentucky. Actually, maybe Kansas. But this is where we could actually begin to see potential path to a supermajority, because if they're doing well in these states, we could see them start to target Iowa, start to target Indiana, start to target Florida, Alaska, maybe Louisiana, South Carolina, Kansas, South Dakota. It's not gonna happen, but who knows? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. I'm trying to think. I'm not starting what to film. So yeah, once again, not really certain what to film. Please comment your suggestions down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.